I was a coastline after the tide left. You saw cracked earth and shells the ocean kept. The waterline was etched into my skin, a high tide mark of where the damage had been. I didn't move, I just absorbed the sun, waiting for the slow erosion to be done. But the silence wasn't peace, it was a drug. I realized the sea was never coming out. The only way to move was to become the rain, to break the surface tension of the pain. This isn't quick, this tectonic shift, a slow deep pressure, a necessary gift. I'm not patching holes and changing the bedrock, recalibrating the internal clock. I'm going once where foundation cracked. I'm going once where foundation cracked. A mountain rising where the earth was flat. To dig the shrapnel from my clay and name the things I thought I'd thrown away. The weight of memory is heavy in the head, but you can build a future on a sinking sand. I learned the language of the quiet ache, the sound a frozen river makes when it breaks. I used to pray for rescue, for a boat, a sudden lift, a hand around my throat to pull me up. But now I understand the strength was always buried in the land. I am the architect, the storm, the heat, the only witness to my own defeat. In the slow, deliberate way I found my feet. Tectonic shift, slow deep pressure, necessary gift. I'm patching holes and changing the bedrock, recalibrating the internal clock. I'm going to the foundation cracked. I'm on the horizon where the ocean cracked. A mountain rising where the earth was flat. The fault lines to the I used to measure time by the shadows on the floor, and the air was thick with waiting, knocking on a locked door. I built my walls from silence, brick by careful brick. Believed the only constant was the slow, never tick. I learned to live inside the low home of the doubt, where every single fire eventually went out. It wasn't thunder, wasn't a sudden blinding flash, just a shift in the deep water, slow internal crash, like finding a single room beneath the frozen ground, a certainty that didn't need to make a sound. It was the pressure changing up the light that broke the pain, just the quiet knowledge that the structure could sustain. It's the light that doesn't break the dark, it just holds its own space. a glass held up to light. But it's the pressure in the bedrock holding back the night. It doesn't shout its victory, it just refuses to yield. A silent growing harvest in a long forgotten field. It's the anchor dropped in water where the current cannot pull me. Being steady world feels suddenly full. Just this small persistent wait, waiting for the quiet day. Deep inside the bone, finally home. A low pressure front that never came to rest. My edges blurred where the ocean met the sand. Nothing solid I could hold within my hand. I built my life on currents and on tides. A restless man where nothing ever hides. Then you stood still right where the water broke. You didn't flinch when the thunder spoke. You didn't try to calm the wind I brought. You just became the lesson I was taught. You are the fixed star, the spinning sky. The only reason nowhere to fly. I was all motion, perpetual drift, but you're the gravity, the necessary gift. You'll be in the silence when you stands in stars on the brows leaves defined the boundaries. Says the thought white low against you, the kind of strength that finally sets me free. You let me rage, you let the water climb, but you hold the line against the rush of time. Every other structure I have known was built on shift and shade and quickly overthrown. This foundation was never fleshed the way your shadow fits my land. If I had fire with perfect glass, not breaking, just reflecting what must pass. The compass needle finally found its home. No longer searching, no longer prone. Just standing here where the two worlds meet. The chaos and the quiet, perfectly complete. The air is heavy now. I find the shape of it. The sound from last It hits the back of my neck, head tilted back, eyes closed tight. I can almost feel the vibration, the way the air changed. It is coming away, it is pulling a current. I am not moving, I am just listening. I hear that sound again. I hear that easy open sound. I hear it keeps the quiet away. It fills the space between. I hear that sound again. I The room is full of it, not a voice but a feeling, a rhythmic rising, a sudden bright breaking. You were leaning on the rail, looking toward the water. I keep that moment close, I keep it on a loop. I hear that sound again. I hear that easy open sound. I hear it keeps the quiet away. It fills the space between. I hear that sound again. I hear open sound. The vibration is still here, keeps me steady. A temporary structure built by hand. I measure time by how the tide would turn. A lesson in the things you couldn't earn. My roots were shallow, meant to pull away. I planned the exit before I planned the stay. Then you arrived and didn't try to hold. You simply stood where the story had grown cold. You didn't fight the current, you just stood still, a granite column against my restless will. You are the bedrock underneath the fog line, the only constant in this fractured design. I was a ship that only knew the storm, but you're the harbor keeping the water warm. You are the anchor that refuses to drive, the only flag ever won away. didn't smooth the edges, you just traced the scar and showed me with the true foundations. You see the blueprint, not the broken wall. And love the structure, even as it falls. I thought connection meant a gentle weave, a fragile balance easily unseen. But this is deeper than a simple trust. It's turning all my chaos into dust. You are the gravity that keeps me whole, the quiet center of my spinning soul. The tide can turn, the weather can descend, but the bedrock doesn't bend. The bedrock doesn't bend. You don't bend. I used to measure time and held back breaths, a quiet tension waiting for the depths. I built my house on ground that always moved, a temporary shelter never truly proved. I kept my bags packed by the kitchen door, ready to leave the moment I saw. But the floorboards sailed one by one, the frantic pulse beneath the skin was done. It wasn't thunder that broke the spell, just the sound of something rooted, growing well. This isn't the rush of a sudden flood, it's the slow deep current running through the wood. It's the quiet knowledge that the sun will climb, a steady rhythm outside of time. I don't need the fanfare or the blinding light, just the certainty of morning after night. I learned the language of the bedrock stone, the weight of silence when the wind has blown. I stopped anticipating this sharp break and felt the slow deliberate choice we make. Fear is still a shadow on the pain, but it doesn't own the house or hold the rain. This isn't the rush of a sudden flood, it's the slow deep current running through the wood. It's the quiet knowledge that the sun will climb, a steady rhythm outside of time. I don't need the fanfare or the blinding light, just the certainty of morning and after night. It takes a different kind of strength to stand, to trust the map held steady in your hand, to let the roots go down where they can't be seen, and trust the slow deliberate shade of green. This quiet hope is not a fragile thing, it's the heavy promise that the soil will bring. Steady rhythm outside of time, the certainty of morning, the quiet hum. We stand on bed now. soul has shed its gears. The pendulum is a dead weight of frozen tongue. A sliver of light bisects the rug. A golden wire pulled taut across the dark. The water in the glass is a magnifying eye, watching the dust settle like falling stars. There is no hum of the fridge, no ghost in the pipes, just the architecture of a room holding its breath. We are the hollow at the center of the storm, the white space where the ink refused to run. No ghost of the morning, no threat of the dawn, just the ache of the years before the was has begun. Stillness is a kingdom with no crown, where the gravity of the heart finally settles down. Your fingers are inches from the hem of my sleeve. I can count the blue veins, the maps of your blood, still like rivers in a sudden silver frost. We aren't bracing for the crash of the hour. We found the seam where the fabric tore and slipped through the gap to the quiet floor. The world outside is a frantic, blurred machine, grinding its teeth on the edge of the street. But here the air is thick as honey and salt, a beautiful, breathless, intentional fault. Let the gears rise, let the seasons forget we haven't even reached the ending yet. Hold the frame, let the light burn through. Nothing moves, nothing breaks. The silence is the only gift we take. Inside the gears lie rusted and numb, a cemetery where lost moments succumb. A moth hits the glass with a velvet thud, stuck in the ember, the sap in the blood. The dust is a curtain that refuses to rise, caught in the squints of the afternoon's eyes. There is no vibration, no hum in the wall, just the weight of the shadow that started to sprawl. World is a motor, we finally unplugged, a secret the floorboards have quietly. This is the architecture of a pause, a cathedral built out of our breath and bone. Gravity's fed us, forget its laws, leaving us tethered to nothing alone. The silence is heavy, a cold made of lead, keeping the living away from the dead. Your coffee is black and the surface is glass, not a ripple to tell me the seconds have flown. I'm waiting for shadows to lengthen and pass, but the sun is a nail that the ceiling has grown. We are the ink that won't dry on the page. Birds made of stone in a wireless cage. Outside the window, the seasons are blurring. Traffic is bleeding and ribbons are red. But here in the mirror, nothing is stirring. We're living the lines that will never be said. Time is a river that hit a dead end, with no more momentum to borrow a limb. This is the architecture of a pause. Cathedral built out of hell, breath and warm. Gravity's filled us, forgetting its laws, leaving us tethered to nothing alone. The silence is heavy, a coat made of lead, keeping the living away from the dead. Hold it, don't blink, the light is still cold. The story is finished before it was told. Still. Coffee's gone cold and it chips ceramic cup. I'm watching the dust melt, drift and settle up. The hallway is longer than it used to be, a stretch of linoleum, a soulless sea. I leave the porch light burning for the ghost of a car, forgetting how many horizons away you are. I've memorized the static, the hum of the fridge, the hollow resonance under the bridge. The silence isn't empty, it's heavy and white, a physical thing with nowhere to hide. There's 1,000 miles of static in the white, hollow space where we used to build the fire. The map is just a line of ink and blue, it doesn't show the way I'm missing you. It's the curvature of earth, the bend of light, keeping me just past the edge of sight. Your voice is a ghost in a low bit rate, digital post that arrives too late. I touch the glass where your cheeks should rest, a cold vibration against my chest. The 2 points plotted on a grid of gray, watching the minutes bleeding to the day. If I ran until my lungs turned into lead, if I followed every wire the city fed, I'd still be standing on the wrong side of the dawn, tracing the outline of where you've gone. The air between us is a mountain range, and every breath we take feels sudden and strange. There's 1,000